Welcome to the Beer Den Podcast. Tonight we'll be drinking Dark Horse Brewing Company's Scarier Jesus Rockstar.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Beer Den Podcast. My name is Ethan Hoopy.
And I'm Michael LaRoe. Tonight we're drinking a beer from Dark Horse Brewing Company up in Marshall, Michigan. The beer that we are drinking is actually a collaboration with Dark Horse and a chef from Chicago's Fountainhead, Cletus Friedman is the guy's name.
All right.
So this beer is the Scarier Jesus Rockstar. It's an imperial pale ale made with apricots and chamomile, and it tastes delicious.
Yeah, it's a very smooth drinking experience, I would say. It has a lot of flavor, but it handles it well.
Yeah, it's a very robust beer. Definitely a lot going on with it. Pour is a very hazy amber light brown color. There's notes. I think it smells kind of like you can kind of get that chamomile, like kind of a tea scent to it.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It's a little fruity, which I would attribute to the apricot, but I don't think it's distinguished enough to say like, oh yeah, that apricot that I'm smelling.
Yeah.
And then just a little bit hoppy, but definitely more fruity than hoppy.
Well, with an imperial ale, you're going to probably have a bit stronger both flavor and aroma to it. There's going to be a bit more bitterness coming from stronger hops. I would say that this definitely touches on all of those things and does it in a very smooth and reasonable way. As far as flavor, what do you kind of get from it?
Flavor-wise, it's definitely that fruity flavor. I would pin it to like peaches or apricots. It's not overly hoppy or malty. I know we say this about a lot of beers, but this one's very balanced and it has a super soft body to it. Like it's super smooth. It does have a little bit of a dry finish.
I would say it's actually fairly dry to me. Definitely like high, medium, high kind of dryness. But I would agree that it's a very balanced drink. It has some pretty strong bittering up front, but it seems to kind of
it mellows out quickly.
Yeah, it mellows out very quickly and turns into, a much more balanced and smooth experience.
Okay. We base everything off of 3 criteria. We have quality out of 50 points, value out of 25, and design out of 25. Quality-wise, I gave this a 43. I thought it had an amazingly robust flavor that wasn't overwhelming in any way. It has a good fruit aroma to it. And like, nothing is like super intense with it. It's just perfectly well balanced. It's smooth. It's soft. It's a very pleasant experience drinking this, especially for something that's an imperial.
Yeah.
That kind of lends to it's going to be intense, and this is not intense. This is just a very good beer.
It does have full flavor. Like there's definitely a lot going on. It's pretty complex, but I wouldn't say it's something that is going to put you on your heels or anything. It's not overwhelming.
Okay.
I think that this would actually be a really good beer for something like steak, something salty, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Especially because it like has some more maltiness to it, some of that caramel-esque flavors,
This would be a really
I think it would go good with stuff like that.
Yeah. I think this would be a really good like go-to beer, like you're having like a special occasion like dinner or something.
Yeah.
And then like you just want something like really unique, something that you're just, that beer would definitely hit the spot for this.
Yeah.
This is probably that beer.
Something that's nice and consistent.
Right. What was your score for the quality?
I ended up actually going with a 40 for this one. I thought it was very well balanced, well-rounded beer. Yeah, and I think that it deserves all of those points.
All right. Value-wise, we have to treat this one a little bit differently. We're not able to get this in anything other than the single bottle. So for a single bottle, it is $5. I scored it at a 15, and my justification for that is we kind of break up what our quality score is based on like a $10 mark as an average.
Yeah.
And so at 15, it's a good beer, but it's above $10. I think that this fits that. With it being $5 a beer, I mean, if I was going to a bar and I was getting something on tap, I'm going to be paying that per beer anyway. But if I'm drinking at home, obviously it's a whole nother beast. So I still think this is good enough quality that it justifies that price. I would definitely buy more than one of these. I think it's well worth it.
I think the price ended up affecting my score a bit more than it did yours. At $5 per beer, you know, with only 2 beers costing the same as many 6-packs do, I just couldn't really get behind it. I think that this is a good beer, but I also think that we've had 6-packs that are around $10 that are just as good. So that's why I ended up going with a 10 for value. I just think for how much you would have to spend in order to get the same amount as many other beers, I just don't think that it's nearly as worth it as, you know, a lot of these more reasonably priced beers. I think you would have a better time going with something else that's a bit cheaper, and maybe even something that, you know, I guess on our grading score, I would probably be happier going with something that I liked slightly less, but got a lot more of. In this case, I don't think it's so good to really justify the price. So yeah, I think a 10 is right where I think it really deserves that kind of score.
Okay. Design wise, I scored this at an 18. The label I thought was really cool, and it has a rock star Jesus on it. He's like standing on a demon and has a flying V guitar with a cross neck on it, which is pretty hilarious. It shows the alcohol content, 8.25%. It doesn't have any neck label on it. It's not stamped in any particular unique designs on it. It's not in a unique bottle. I didn't see any call to like social media or a website. I mean, it does clearly have their logo on it. That's the only thing that brings it back to Dark Horse in Marshall, Michigan. What did you think, Ethan?
I thought that the bottle was definitely lacking in a lot of key elements that we tend to hold a lot of value in. It, like you say, it doesn't have the neck label. It doesn't have any kind of call to its social media or back to its website or anything like that. And those are definitely important things. Kind of the big ones for me are really bottling date. You know, I really prefer to have something like that, even though I know most beers don't have it, but I think that is kind of important, especially with craft brews. You know, the details are important to people who actually care about craft brewing, and so to not see that on there kind of sucks. But the big one for me is really the description.
Apricots and chamomile on it.
Yeah,
that's the only description that it has.
Yeah, it mentions it, but there really is no deeper description on the bottle, and that to me really hurts it. I think that's sort of a fundamental thing is, you know, if you're making something and if it's a unique type of beer, then, you know, you should explain what the experience is going to be like and stuff like that. Yeah, and then on top of it, like, the bottle is just a super generic bottle,
especially because lately we've been seeing like stamp bottles, and
we've been seeing some pretty unique bottles and stuff
pretty
like
cool.
that.
It just brings a little bit extra charm to the beer.
Yeah, some extra charm to the beer. It also draws your attention to it, and
right,
you know, makes it rememberable. I do think that the labeling on this, like the actual artwork, is really good.
Yeah, it's intense. I like it.
It definitely draws your eye to it. The naming of the beer is really good. It's catchy. It's memorable. You know, it's all of that stuff. But kind of going back to, I think that when you are interested in craft brewing, the imagery and stuff like that kind of takes, it's kind of on the side. I think the most important thing is really the actual like brew details, like the description of like how either it was made or what it should taste like, the APV, bottling date, that kind of stuff I think should be a lot more in the forefront.
Yeah. Well, and especially with that, because a lot of times they'll have some deeper detail of the beer on their website.
Yeah.
which is fine. But if you're going to do that, have the call to your website on the bottle so people know where to go.
Yeah.
If you post the backstory of these things on social media, show that you have that social media so people know where to get the story. Because right now you're showing the cover of the book, but nobody knows essentially how to open it.
Yeah, I think that I just would like more details. I'd like to know more about the actual beer itself. I think the artwork is great and it, is definitely going to draw people into buying it. But I think for even slightly serious craft brewers or people interested in that area, not having those details kind of hurts it. I think that that's what a lot of people like to see, and that's what they hold a lot of value in. So yeah, 15.
All right. So Ethan, that's a 65 out of 100 for you, 77 out of 100 for myself. So averaging those out, that's a 71 for Dark Horse Brewing Company's Scarier Jesus Rockstar Imperial Pale Ale.
Hey everybody, thank you for listening to another Beer Den review.
Don't forget to follow us on social media, links down in the description.
Subscribe, like, and share. And if there are any beers you would like us to try out, leave them in the comments below.
We'll see you on the next episode of the Beer Den Podcast.